So today let us look at international relations. One of the important topics is Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT). From economy we can move on to IR. Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. You must have seen in today's Hindu newspaper. Today's Hindu newspaper there is an article. Yes? Pardon? Okay. Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT). NPT. So we'll look at a little bit of the history. Why this NPT? What is this NPT? What is India's position, stance, and what are the current developments? What are all those current developments? So, if you go back again to the pages of history, 1945, the Second World War was going on. On the Western Front, if you look at it, Russia has defeated Germany. There, the war was coming to an end. On the eastern side, Japan was still fighting the war. And how to tame Japan? That is when the United States of America took a decision to drop nuclear bombs, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, in the month of August. It led to unimaginable destruction. For the first time, the world had come to know about the destructive power of nuclear weapons. And they could easily destroy the entire human civilization also. That is the reason why immediately after the war, the American president had mooted this idea of these nuclear powers coming together and ensuring that these kind of events would not take place in the future again. First, as we know, it was the United States of America that tested the nuclear bombs. Later, Russia. Then you have the United Kingdom, France, Germany. All these countries have tested nuclear weapons. Right? All these countries have tested nuclear weapons. Right? Sorry, not Germany, China. All these countries have tested nuclear weapons. United States of America in the year 1945. You can take all these statistics. They are important. USA in 1945 and Russia 1949. United Kingdom 1952. France 1960. And China in 1964. And China in 1964. So these are the countries that have tested nuclear weapons. That is when these countries had come out with this idea of stopping the spread of these nuclear weapons. They wanted to stop the spread of these nuclear weapons. That is when the negotiations have started between the countries. These negotiations went on for more than 1 decade. By late 1960s, this NPT had come into existence. By late 1960s. By late 1960s, this NPT had come into existence. In 1968, the countries around the world were asked to sign this Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty Agreement, and it had come into effect from 1970. It had come into effect from 1970. Around 191 countries in the world have signed this treaty. 191 countries in the world have signed this treaty. Right? Around 191 countries in the world have signed this treaty. Right? Then what exactly is this NPT? What is India's stance on NPT? And what is happening at this point of time is what that we can see, because it is more than 50 years of NPT. That is the reason why those who will be writing mains this year, they could expect questions on NPT also, because only recently the meeting was also held among all these countries, member countries. That is the reason why you can see in Hindu Today's editorial also, there was an editorial about this NPT, right? So as I said, the objective of this treaty is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons among non-nuclear weapon states. So according to this NPT, it has so many important articles, so many important points in the agreement. Let us see what are all those important aspects of NPT. First and foremost, Article 1 of NPT, Article 1 of NPT, it talks about non-proliferation. Non-proliferation. So what is it? It says that nuclear weapon states, NWS, nuclear weapon states. And what are the nuclear weapon states? Nuclear weapon states are those states which have conducted nuclear tests before 1968, before the agreement had come into existence. And what are those countries? As we have discussed, America, Russia, UK, France and China. They were only recognized as nuclear weapon states for the purpose of the agreement. India has conducted nuclear tests in 1974, again a second time in 1998, and Pakistan also has conducted simultaneously in 1998. North Korea also has conducted. Israel, it says that it has nuclear weapons, but it has not conducted any tests. So under this treaty, nuclear weapon states means only those 5 countries. Under this treaty, only these 5 countries. And what is the Article 1 says? It says that the nuclear weapon states, they would pledge, they would make a promise, that they will not transfer nuclear weapons or any other technology, right? They would not transfer nuclear weapons or any other technology to non-nuclear states. To non-nuclear states, right? To non-nuclear states. That is to stop the spread of nuclear weapons. That means nuclear weapons should be there only among those 5 countries which already had those nuclear weapons. There would not be any spread of nuclear weapons to non-nuclear weapon states. Second, Article 2 of the treaty. What is Article 2? And non-nuclear weapon states, it says that non-nuclear weapon states, they pledge, PLEDGA, pledge not to acquire any nuclear weapons. Not to acquire any nuclear weapons. That means they are making a promise that they will not acquire any nuclear weapons. Article 3 talks about, it says that non-nuclear weapon states will accept IAEA safeguards, International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA safeguards. IAEA, they will accept IAEA safeguards to verify that their nuclear activities are only for peaceful purposes. Their nuclear activities are only for peaceful purposes. Right now, if you happen to see, this is where the problem is. Iran has not allowed IAEA to verify its nuclear facilities. And Saddam Hussein was attacked by the United States of America because America has said that Saddam Hussein had nuclear weapons. And he did not allow IAEA to verify. So basically this Article 3 has been used by America to attack most of the countries. Right? Yes. Point 3. Very simple. The non-nuclear weapon states, they would allow IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, to verify their nuclear facilities. And what is the verification here? To see whether their nuclear facilities are used only for peaceful purposes. That means for generating nuclear power only, and they are not used for this nuclear weapons. For nuclear weapons, as we study in our ethics paper, again you have to interlink. That is what we always say. As we study in our ethics paper, if you look at it, this wisdom, intelligence, and knowledge, it can be used either for productive purposes or it can be used for destructive purposes also. Best example is nuclear power. Nuclear power can be used to generate cheap electricity. At the same time, it can also be used for killing people also with the help of nuclear weapons. That is the reason why we say that, as we study in our ethics paper, again we say that intelligence without knowledge, knowledge without values is dangerous. Knowledge without values is dangerous. Why? Because you can easily use your knowledge. You can easily use your knowledge for destructive purposes. The best example is nuclear power. And that is the reason why the third article says that the rest of the countries are allowed to generate nuclear power, and this nuclear energy should be used only for peaceful purposes. They would not be allowed to have nuclear weapons by themselves or for themselves. And that is the reason why International Atomic Energy Agency has been given the power to inspect the nuclear facilities of non-nuclear weapon states in a frequent manner. If the non-nuclear weapon states do not allow IAEA to inspect their nuclear facilities, then rest of the world can take action against them. Like I have mentioned, one of the important reasons why America went to war with Iraq later, they killed Saddam Hussein was America has said that Saddam Hussein had nuclear bombs and he is not allowing IAEA to verify those facilities. Ultimately, it was proved that this was nothing but a hoax created by America to justify its war on Iraq. Iraq did not have any nuclear weapons. And on the other hand, right now it is IAEA versus Iran. Iran, it has allowed IAEA to inspect its facilities to some extent, but America says that we want to have complete unhindered access to the complete nuclear facilities. Iran says that we cannot give, and that is where sanctions are imposed on Iran also right now. Right? This third article is the one which is mostly problematic. On the other hand, if you look at a country like North Korea, North Korea has signed NPT in 1986. North Korea, you can take down all these things. You are not here to listen to Ramayana and Mahabharata, right? Right, these are all very important. Right? All of you are so mesmerized by the stories that we are not telling any stories here. North Korea, it has signed NPT in 1986, but it has also come out of NPT. It has conducted its own nuclear tests. North Korea has recently conducted its own nuclear tests, and it has also threatened to use nuclear weapons against America also. Right? It has threatened North Korea. That is what with the dictators, they can do whatever they want. Right? So next, Article 6 of NPT. Article 6 of NPT. It says that all countries must negotiate and involve in fruitful discussions. It says that all countries must negotiate and also involve in fruitful discussions to prevent nuclear arm race. To prevent nuclear arms race. To prevent nuclear arms race, and also to promote nuclear disarmament. Nuclear disarmament. DISARMAMENT. To promote nuclear disarmament and ultimately move towards a complete destruction of nuclear weapons. And ultimately move towards complete destruction of nuclear weapons. Right? This is another important part of this NPT. That means the countries, we should move towards a world wherein there are no nuclear weapons. One of the objectives. Next, Article 4. Article 4. Article 4 says that all countries must focus only on developing nuclear energy. Must focus on only developing nuclear energy for peaceful purposes only. For peaceful purposes only. And there must be international cooperation among the countries. There must be international cooperation among the countries to promote the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. Right? To promote non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. Right? So this is what basically NPT is all about. As you can see here, what is the problem with this NPT? It divides the countries around the world into two categories: haves and have-nots. So this is the basic issue with NPT. It divides the countries around the world into two categories: haves and have-nots. Haves means those who have nuclear weapons. Have-nots means those who do not have any nuclear weapons. So this treaty, the basic problem with this treaty is that it is inherently discriminatory in nature. It is inherently discriminatory in nature. Inherently discriminatory in nature. Why do we say that it is inherently discriminatory in nature? It has allowed nuclear weapon states. It has allowed nuclear weapon states to possess nuclear weapons. It has allowed nuclear weapon states to possess nuclear weapons, but it did not provide the same facility to other countries. It did not provide the same facility to other countries. It did not provide the same facility to other countries. That means non-nuclear weapon states should always remain non-nuclear weapon states, whereas these nuclear weapon states have been allowed to continue with their nuclear weapons. Right? It is highly inherently discriminatory in nature. and it also has given a lot of power to IAEA to inspect the facilities, nuclear facilities. And international community also can impose sanctions. International community also can impose sanctions. International community can also impose sanctions. So this treaty is reviewed after every 5 years. According to NPT 1970, it is reviewed after every 5 years. The treaty is reviewed after every 5 years. Originally, this treaty was conceived, it is reviewed after every 5 years in terms of its functioning. Originally, this treaty was conceived for a period of 25 years. Originally, this treaty was conceived for a period of 25 years. From 1970, 25 years means, from 1970, 25 years means 1995. After that, it was extended for another 25 years, 50 years. After that, it was extended for another 25 years. In fact, in 1995, this treaty was extended indefinitely. In 1995, this treaty was extended indefinitely. It was extended indefinitely. That means the treaty would be in effect forever in 1995. So in 1970, when the treaty was signed, in 1970, when the treaty was signed, there were apprehensions about the effectiveness of the treaty, whether the treaty would be effective or not. In 1970, when the treaty was signed, there were apprehensions about whether the treaty would be effective or not, whether the countries who are part of this treaty would adhere to the conditions or not. There were apprehensions. Because you cannot stop the countries from following their own security policies. Every country is sovereign. Please remember, all these kind of treaties, they are not legally binding. None of these global international treaties are legally binding, including the WTO also. If you don't follow, what can they do? They will impose sanctions on you. And who will be badly affected if the sanctions are imposed? The countries which are imposing the sanctions will be badly affected. Right now, that is what is happening with Russia also. Russia has no problem. Russia is able to sell its petrol, crude oil to India. They were able to get their money. It is the European countries which are suffering the most. So that is the reason why these kind of sanctions will not matter much. But as I said, when the 1970, when the treaty was signed, there were apprehensions that this treaty might not be effective. But it proved to be effective. It was believed that there would be at least 20 to 25 countries which would become nuclear weapon states. The assumption was that there would be at least 20-25 countries which would become nuclear weapon states. There would be at least 20 to 25 countries. But after this treaty, only 4 countries had become nuclear weapon states. After the treaty had come into existence, only 4 countries had become part of what we call nuclear weapon states. What are those countries? India, Pakistan, then Israel. Israel did not conduct any nuclear tests, and North Korea. India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea. So overall, what can you say? Overall, the treaty is effective in terms of its objectives, that is non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. The treaty is always, it has proved to be effective. Only 4 countries. In 1974, India has conducted nuclear weapons first, then again 1998, and when India conducted the nuclear weapon test, immediately it was also followed by Pakistan, and later North Korea also has conducted nuclear tests. Israel did not conduct any nuclear. Israel is maintaining its ambiguity regarding nuclear weapons. Everyone knows that Israel has nuclear weapons. Only these 4 countries have nuclear weapons. So obviously, you can say that this treaty has been effective in terms of achieving one of its most important objectives, that is non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. Next, proceeding further, right? What are the major controversies? What are the major issues? Let us look at what are the major controversies or issues related to this treaty, right? United States of America has said that it would provide security umbrella to all NATO states. United States of America, it has said that it would provide security umbrella to all NATO states. Right? But at the same time, USA was also helping NATO states to acquire nuclear weapons. At the same time, USA was also helping NATO states to acquire nuclear weapons, violating Article 1 of the treaty. After the treaty had come into existence, America has publicly said that they would provide security umbrella to all the NATO states, but clandestinely, what America was doing, it was providing a nuclear technology to most of the NATO countries also. In fact, America itself was indulging in proliferation of nuclear weapons and nuclear technology. And what is the argument of America here? America is saying that they are providing only this nuclear technology to NATO states only for peaceful purposes. For peaceful purposes to generate nuclear power. But again, it is very difficult to inspect whether it is used for peaceful purposes to generate nuclear power or for generating building nuclear weapons also. And America itself has violated. Right? And in fact, the Soviet Union also has done the same thing during the Cold War. During the Cold War, Soviet Union also has said the same thing. Right? And America has provided nuclear bombs to most of the NATO countries. It has provided around 180 nuclear bombs to NATO countries: Belgium, Germany, Italy, Netherlands and Turkey. It has provided nuclear bombs to the NATO countries like Belgium, Germany, Italy, Netherlands and Turkey. Belgium, Germany, Italy, Netherlands and Turkey under these NATO agreements. That means America itself is indulging in proliferation of nuclear weapons. America itself is indulging in proliferation. Why? Because he will earn a huge amount of money by selling these nuclear bombs. That is the reason why America itself has violated this treaty. And what is one of the important reasons for this Russia-Ukraine war is that Russia does not want Ukraine to be part of NATO countries, because almost all the if you look at all the borders of Russia are surrounded by NATO allies only. All of them have nuclear weapons. If Ukraine also becomes part of NATO, and America can provide nuclear weapons to Ukraine also, then Moscow will be around 150 kilometers from Ukraine border, and that is the reason why Russia says that we don't want Ukraine to be part of NATO. So this is always part of what we call global geopolitics. I think the time is up, 11:30. So we will continue with this on Monday. Let us look at all other aspects. What about India's stance? What about Pakistan? What is North Korea? We will look at all of them. On Monday, we will talk about these things. Right? As I said in today's Hindu newspaper also, if you happen to see on editorial page, you can see NPT is beginning to look shaky. Can you see that one? Right? That is also important. So that is it. Let us come back to our public administration. Yesterday we were continuing with our discussions regarding center-state financial relations. If you have any doubts, from yesterday's class, you can ask. Any doubts? How capital expenditure reduces inflation? Good question. No, it is a good question. Why? Because some of you are laughing, right? So with capital expenditure, what you are doing? You are producing goods and services. When you are producing goods and services, what happens? The supply of goods and services in the market will increase. With the demand remaining the same, when the supply increases, automatically the prices will come down.